Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today for our customer training on Access World News and America's News, brought to you by NewsBank. We are very grateful for your partnership. My name is Catherine Bergerson. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at NewsBank. I'll be joined today by my colleague, Megan Martinez. Just to let you know, as we get started, this session is recorded, and you will receive a copy of the presentation following today's event. You know, right now is the perfect time to be taking a look at how you can leverage Access World News or America's News, because as we know, in today's world, digital resources and online access to those resources has never been more critical. And with NewsBank, we're bringing the most credible, comprehensive content available to your patrons, whether they're utilized in the library or remotely. In today's session, it is our goal to share with you a brief overview of our rich collection, what it includes, what really makes Access World News and America's News unique. We'll show you how to search and pinpoint the most relevant information to your area of interest. We'll share ideas on how to build visibility of the resource, including some ready-to-use communication strategies that you can use to connect with your patrons. Also, we do have time for some questions and answers. We'll pause a few times throughout the presentation. So feel free to use the question icons. You should see kind of some bubbles or icons on the left side. Open those up. You can type your questions in there and hit submit. We'll do our best to get to all of them. Also in that section is an icon for download. You can download this presentation. It has links to everything that we talk about in there today. So if that sounds good to everyone, we will dive right in with a bit of background on NewsBank. We are a leading news and information provider to research institutions and libraries, and I'm proud to share with you that we have been a family-owned company for well over 50 years. We aggregate sources from all around the world, bringing you and your communities, your patrons, your students, all of your users, credible, vetted, global news sources, many of which are unique to NewsBank, and all are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from any device. So now, the reason we're all here, let's take a walk through Access World News and America's News. I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Megan Martinez. She is a customer success representative. Please welcome Megan. Hey, Megan.
Hey, Catherine, thank you so much. And it's great to be here. Like Catherine mentioned, my name is Megan Martinez. I'm part of NewsBank's customer engagement team. And really our job is just to make sure that you and your patrons are able to get as much usage out of the product as possible. So today I'm going to be showing Access World News, all of the different product features and tools to make sure that you are equipped to use NewsBank yourself and then go out and recommend it to your patrons, answer their questions, and help them with it. So I'm going to show my screen and we can jump in. Catherine, can you let me know when you can see my screen?
It looks great. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So whenever you or your patrons go to log into NewsBank, this is the main landing page here. So you can see here at the top, we have this nice big search box. And then underneath, we have these suggested topics and these quick links here on the right. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But one of the first things I like to show on these demos is this A through Z source list. So I'm going to click on that. It's up here in the top left next to our NewsBank logo. And what this is this is a full list of all the sources included in America's News or Access World News. So you can see for the full Access World News package, we have almost 14,000 sources. What location we're looking at. If you have America's News, of course, that will just be USA content. But if you do have Access World News, you can see we have lots of global content as well. You can see what type of source we've got. That's one of the great things about America's News, Access World News, is that it's not just newspapers. We have all different kinds of media files included as well. So you can see a couple here, transcripts, news wires, magazines, all kinds of good stuff. And then, of course, you can also see what type of file we're looking at. We have both text and image edition papers. So you can see these are all text here. And then, of course, you can see the language here on the far right. And this is a fully searchable list. So if I had somebody coming in to ask, do we have access to the USA Today? I can type that in here. Of course, that's going to give me everything with today. But I can scroll through, and now I can see I do have USA Today. I can see all the different dates that we have. So this first one here goes back to 1987. I can see this is a newspaper, and it is the text version. And we do also have the image version and some web edition content. So this is just a really great tool to have in your toolbox, be able to see what content you have, what dates, and so on. So going back out to the main page now, typically when most patrons start using NewsBank, they like to start with this nice search box here. And this is going to search the entire collection together. So this is great for really broad searches, things that you want a lot of results for. So today I'm going to do a fun search. We're going to look for penguins, just as something interesting. So I'm going to type in my search there, and we'll see what comes up. So now here's our results page. You can see we have a lot of results for penguins, over 1.5 million results. And that is a really big search. There's no way I could get through 1.5 million results on my own. So it may be helpful to filter down the search. And I can do that here on the left. This is our little filtering box here. You can see that it's going to start me off with newest articles first, but I can change that to be best match, or I can change it to be oldest. So if I wanted to see the oldest articles we have on penguins, I could do that. Underneath that, we have this nice date selector, and I like this for a couple of different reasons. For one, it's just an easy way to narrow down my time frame. So maybe I just want to see articles on penguins from 2000 on, or even 2010. So I can narrow that down there and apply it and just see that time frame. I can also see how topics change and flow over time. So you can see not a lot going on with penguin reporting in the 1970s, but we do have some coming into the 80s and then really gets going in the 2000s with the peak in the 2010s. So it is interesting to see when a topic may have been more popular over time and things like that. Underneath the date selector, I do have this specific date search. So if there is a certain set of dates that I want to look within, I can enter those here. Under that, I can filter by source type. So like I mentioned, we don't just have newspapers, we have all different kinds of media files included in the collection as well. So if I wanted to find a video on penguins, maybe I could come through here and look for just videos. Under that, I have my single year search. So if I wanted to look just within a particular year, I can do that here. And then I have a source name filter. So if I know the specific newspaper that I want to look within, I could try to find it here. It's also going to give me the newspapers here that have the most results. So the Sports Network has the most results, probably not on the penguins I would be looking for, but they have the most I could see here, followed by Pennsylvania, a couple newspapers from Pennsylvania. Underneath that, I can filter by location. Access World News is a global collection, so I can select which continent I want, and then it kind of filters down from there. So if I were to select North America, for example, let's click on that. Now, when I go back down to the location, I can filter it further. So now maybe I just want USA content. I can click on USA. And now I can filter it down by state. And then within state, I can go even further into town or city name as well. Underneath that, I have a Lexile level filter. So this can be helpful if I am working with a student, of course. This can also be helpful if I am working with somebody who maybe English is a second language, or somebody just that needs an easier readability level for whatever reason. I can go in here and select the level that I need. And then underneath that is our language filter. So if I needed articles in a different language than English, I can go in here and select those. So that is how I would kind of narrow down my search. So let's say I have selected some criteria. Maybe I've narrowed down my dates. Maybe I've selected a state or a country that I want to stick in. So I've done all this work here to narrow down my search. And now I have a couple options here at the top that will help me. So if this is a search that I'm going to come back to, maybe I'm doing ongoing research on this topic, I have the option to save this search. So that's here up by the results. I have this save search option. And this is just going to ask me to create a personal folder. It's super easy to do. You just sign in with your name and password, or you create a name and password. And then when I go to sign into NewsBank next time, I can log into this personal folder and I can see all of the articles and saved searches that I have collected in that folder. So when I save this search, it's going to put that in my personal folder. And now when I go back to that and I click on that saved search, I can go right back to these results. It's going to do all that filtering that I've already done. It's going to do that for me so I don't have to remember everything that I picked. And it's going to repopulate with any new articles as well. So that can be really helpful, again, if this is something I'm coming back to multiple times. And next to that save search, sort of similar, is this alert option here. And what this does is it will send me an email anytime something new has been published within my search criteria. So sometimes libraries will set these up for different employees or for their staff. Whenever anything has been published about the library in the newspaper, just want to stay on top of what's being said about the library or different events going on. So you can enter email addresses here, and you can enter as many as you want. So you could enter several different employee email addresses, or if you're just setting it up for yourself, you can enter that. And then I can also select the frequency that I want these emails to come. So if I'm super gung-ho about the search, I could have it come up to 4 times a day, or I could go down to just once a week. So that is our alert option. So now looking at these results, you can see I have these little previews over here on the right. And I kind of have 2 different options for previews to just kind of look at the article, see if it's going to fit without having to go in straight into it. So this is going to start where my search term begins in the article, and you can see it highlights it there for me. So I can read just about my search term. But underneath that, I have this little eyeball preview, and that's going to start me at the top of the article. So I can start at the top, or I can just read about my search term. So I have kind of 2 different ways to look at that. So let's say maybe I'm at the reference desk, I'm helping a patron. There's a couple different people behind them maybe, and I don't have a ton of time to do super in-depth research for this person. There's a lot I can do just right from this results page here. So maybe I'm looking at some of these previews and I think, well, maybe these top 3 articles here are going to fit what this person is looking for. So I can select them here with these little check boxes. And now you can see I have these tools here over on the right. And these are highlighted here. So these are all things I can do right from this results page without having to go into anything. And this first one here is a citation. So if I wanted to get a batch of citations, if I need citations from multiple different articles, I'm not going to want to have to go into each article and get each individual one. I can do it here from the results page, and it's going to put them all together for me. So you can see I have different choices here on which style I need. Maybe I need the APA style. And now here are my citations. I can copy and paste those wherever I need those. Next to that, I have an email option. So I could email these articles to this patron. And that's super easy to do. You'll just need to enter their email address and yours. And then, oops, that clicked out. And then you may write a little message to them, and you can send those articles by email altogether. And the great thing about the email option is that when you send those articles, they're going to be sent in what's called an open URL format. So when that patron receives that email, to get into those articles, they won't have to log in. It's an open URL. Anybody can access those specific articles. Now, if they try to go back out and go into the full collection, it will stop them and ask them to log in. But this is nice if maybe this person I'm helping is a guest at my library, or I'm not sure whether or not they have a library card. I don't really have to worry about that. They will be able to see those specific articles that you send. So that is our email option there. Next to that, I can print these articles. So nice if I want to print multiple articles at once. And I can also include that citation page in my print. So I can select the one I need and include that if I need to. Next to that, I can also download these articles. So I could download these. I can also include that citation page in that download. And then lastly here, I can save those articles to that personal folder that we created. So if I don't want to save the entire search, maybe I've looked through everything and I've found the articles that I need, I'm not going to come back to it. I can just save those articles that I've selected here into that personal folder. So as you can see, lots to do here just from the results page. But I'm going to go into one of these articles here. I kind of wanted like actual penguins, but I guess we'll look at some sports articles here. So we'll open this first one. So this is an example of one of our text edition articles. So you can see we've got some of those same tools here at the top that we'll look at. Of course, we've got our title. We've got some information about this article. And underneath that, we have this text-to-speech reader here. So if I'm somebody that needs this article read to me, this will read this article to me. It's also going to highlight the words as it goes. So super helpful if you need that. And then looking at the article itself, you can see it highlights that search term for me. So super easy to scroll through and find what I'm looking for. And there's that article there. So going back up here to the top, looking at these tools again, this first one here is just a text size increase. This can be helpful if you're working on a phone or a tablet. Sometimes those show up really small, or just if you need it larger. I have that same citation option here, but within the article, I have the option to export that citation. So back on the results page, I could copy the citation information, and I can still do that here, but I also have the option to export that citation. And this can be helpful for high school, college students. Sometimes they will use a third-party website to compile a reference list. So if I do have a list on one of these third-party sites, I can export to that existing list. I can email. So this is going to send just this one article, and it's going to be in that same open URL format. So I don't have to worry whether this person has a library card or not. I can print, and of course I can include that citation page in that print as well. I can download, and within the article, I also have the choice to save it to a Google Drive. So back on the results page, I can download as a PDF, which I can still do here, or I can save it to a Google Drive. So if I am working on a library computer, maybe I don't want to download to that computer, I can save it to my Google Drive and access it from my personal devices. I can also save this article to my folder. So if I just want to save this one article, I can do that here. I can also copy the link, and this is going to be that open URL link. So you can see that here. So if I already have an email going to this patron and I want to include the link to this article, or if I am writing a social media post, or if I am working on a newsletter for the library, and maybe I want to include this article in there. Maybe this is an article about stuff going on at the library or community events. I could include that in my social media post, my newsletter. And I know that it's that open URL link that anybody can access. So if I need that, I can get that. And then here at the end, we have a Google Classroom option. So if your library has a large homeschooling community, or if you have teachers that come in and use your resources, a lot of times they like this option. So I can share this article to that Google Classroom. I can assign it as homework and that sort of thing. So that is an example of one of our text edition articles. Let's go back out and do a more specific search. So I'm just going to go back out to the main page here. And I found this really cute article the other day. I don't know if you guys have heard of Pesto the penguin. He's kind of a national or global really phenomenon right now. He's this really big penguin at the Melbourne Zoo. And he's like giant. And I think he's so cute. So I found this specific article, but we can also just kind of imagine that the patron maybe is searching for Pesto the penguin or the Melbourne Zoo or something like that. Let's see here. I know it was an image. Here we go. This is the one I wanted. So this is an example of one of our image editions. I'm going to zoom out here so that you can see this adorable article. So you can see here we've got Pesto the penguin, and he is massive. He's supposed to be this, he's a penguin chick, but he's like twice the size of his penguin parents. So people are like obsessed with him. I think he's so cute. So this article here has Pesto, of course, and then it also features Moo Ding, which you guys may have also heard of. She's this little baby hippo that everybody loves. And then we've also got Grumpy Cat. Oop, trying to scroll up here. We've got Grumpy Cat here and some others. So I thought this was just a cute one to share. But this is one of our image articles. So you can see here, it looks exactly the way that it would look in print. Of course, we've got all the images here. These are also going to include any advertisements that are in the paper. So just the way that it looks, if I were to go to the grocery store and buy my local paper, this is the way that the image editions look. So you can imagine these are pretty popular with patrons, especially older patrons where, you know, reading the paper physically is what they're used to. And this is going to give them that similar experience with our image edition. And within the image edition, you can see it still highlights my search term. So I searched for move over, moo ding. If I had searched for Pesto the penguin, it would highlight that. So similar to the text article, it's going to highlight that term for me here as well. And we do have a lot of those same tools here at the top, with just a couple of differences. So this first one here is just a search. If I decide that I want to do a different search of this page or the entire issue, I could then search for something else. So that will allow me to do that. Next to that, I have this info button, and this is going to give me just that basic information about what paper I'm looking at, what page I'm on, and that sort of thing. Next to that, I have that same citation option where I can export that citation or copy. I have the email option, so I could email this to somebody in that open URL format. And then next to that, I have this little scissor clip, and this is unique to our image editions. So when I click on this, it's going to ask me to select a clip. So I'm going to click that. And then now you see I have this blue box that I can move around. And this allows me to select a smaller portion of this page. Maybe I want to print out this little picture of Pesto the penguin. Maybe I'm going to use this for something, and I really don't want to have to print out the entire page. Maybe I just want this image. So this is going to allow me to resize. You can see I can make it any size that I want. So I'm going to resize it for this photo here. And now I can print, download, or save just that clip. So this is really helpful, just like we've done here. If I just want an image, maybe I just want a certain article on a page, or maybe somebody I know is featured in the paper and I want to clip that little section. Lots of different uses for this, but this is super helpful and popular with patrons. So I love to show that clip. Looking back up at the tools, next I can print the article, I can download the article, I can save it to that personal folder that we created before, I can copy that open URL link, and I can share to Google Classroom. So, a lot of those same tools that we had in the text edition, really just the addition of that clip option there. Beside those tools, I have this page scroller. So if I want to just flip through the pages, read it like I would traditionally, I can just scroll through here, flip back, flip forward. But then I also have this drop-down menu. So if I do know what page of the paper I'm looking for, I could scroll down here and find specific page. And next to that, I have my zoom. So if I want to scroll in, I can get really close to pesto there. Or I can scroll out and kind of see the whole article. That's how I'd make it bigger and smaller. The only other difference with the image editions is this little thumbnail scroller here. And what this does is it gives me a really tiny image of each page. And so I can kind of scroll through here if I am looking for a specific section of the newspaper. Maybe I am looking for the crossword. I'm not sure if this paper has a crossword. It looks like it's very long. But you can see, I can see here, this is the sports. So if I wanted to skip ahead to that section, or business, I kind of have an idea of what I'm looking at with the thumbnail scroller. I don't want to scroll too fast and miss it. Boy, Sydney has long papers. Let's see. Typically it is towards the end. Oh, what is this? Okay, this is similar. So here, maybe I was looking for the Sudoku. That's pretty popular in papers, similar to the crossword. So I could come in here, maybe I was looking for this, so I can scroll through my thumbnails. I see it here, I can click on it. That takes me straight to this page. And now I can come up here and do my little clip option. So maybe I really just want this Sudoku puzzle. I can clip that, and now I can print or download it or save it. That way I can do the puzzle later. So I know sometimes libraries will mention that they have older patrons that like to do the crossword, and that's a typical complaint about the online editions is, oh, how am I going to do my crossword? And this is a great way to tell them, oh, you can go in, you can find the crossword page, we can select that little clip of it, and we can print it out for you. And that's how you can do the crossword. So that's a really nice tool to have. So I think that covers just about everything in our image editions. So Catherine, do you want to open it up to any questions, if there are any in the chat? Any questions about like differences between text and image editions, or any of the product tools that we covered?
Thank you very much, Megan. Wow, tons of great information there. And I love pesto too. So fun example there. Yes, let's take a pause for questions. Another quick reminder, the icons are on the left side of your screen. Just open up that bubble and type your questions in. We do have a few here. About the personal folder you showed us, is that just for libraries and staff, or can patrons use it as well? Good question.
Oh, that is a great question. It's for everybody. So library staff can create a personal folder, and then patrons can create a personal folder as well. So anybody who uses NewsBank, you can create your own personal folder.
Great. Yeah, that's something definitely to promote to patrons. You mentioned the open URL. How long does that stay good when you email it to someone? Another good question.
Yeah, that is a great question. I believe it's good indefinitely. I don't think they expire. So yeah, you don't have to worry about it expiring. It should be good as long as you've got the email.
Excellent. Well, thank you for those questions. We'll pause again in a few minutes, but for now, we'll move on. Thanks, everyone.
All right, awesome. So really great questions. Thanks for that. If there are any questions that come up as we keep going, please put them in the chat. I think we'll have time for another question section towards the end, so keep them coming. So now we have kind of looked at this search box here. We've looked at the difference between text and image edition papers. So now let's scroll down here to some of these additional features here. So like we mentioned at the beginning, we have our suggested topics here on the left, and then we have our quick links here on the right. So starting at the top of the quick links, we have this button to go to our hot topics. And this is going to highlight some of those big events that are happening, things that are going on. It's going to put those in a list for you. So some of the top headlines and things that people are talking about. Underneath that, we have our daily headlines and lesson plans. And so this can be a good way to promote to teachers or homeschool groups, similar to the Google Classroom. These are going to be pre-made lesson plans based on some of our articles. So really easy for teachers to go in and use. And then of course, our daily headlines where they can get ideas for lesson planning and things like that. Underneath that, we have our quick links here. So you can see these first ones here are branch offs to some of our other products. So if you do subscribe to any of our other collections, like Heritage Hub or the Life in America collection, you can click on these and that will then take you into that product. So those are included at the top. And then everything underneath that is completely customizable for every library. So these are set up for you and your library to allow you to highlight those really popular collections and popular papers, your local paper, and things that you think will be relevant for patrons. And they're really just an easy way to get into some of those collections. So you can see here we've got some links to the Columbus Dispatch, the San Francisco Chronicle, but again, you can customize these for your library. So just as an example, I'm going to go into the San Francisco Chronicle here. And this is what a collection page would look like. So I have another search box here. If I just wanted to search the San Francisco Chronicle, I could do that. And then I have a list of those San Francisco Chronicle editions that I have in this collection. So you can see here, this first one is that text edition going back to 1985. And then we have the image edition and the web edition. And sometimes patrons get confused and they get on this page and they say, I'm not sure what I'm looking at. I don't know which one is the image. And typically that will be the second option here. But you can see that underneath format. So I can see this one is the image. I can go into that if that's what I'm looking for. So that is what a collection page would look like. Let's go back out. So those are the quick links here. Now let's talk about the suggested topics. So you can see we have all different kinds of topics. And what these are is really just a way to make the collection easier to use, more accessible, especially if I am somebody that has not used a database before, or if I'm new to using a database, or I'm not quite sure how to do a good search on my own. I can go in here and I can find different topics and things to research, and then I can get straight into the results. So opening up this first one, this is our trending now topic. And this one will change periodically based on what's going on. So you can see we have some of those hot button issues that people look for, artificial intelligence, climate change, so on. So that is our trending topic. But you can see we have all different kinds of stuff. And one that I really like to show is the health topic here. Health information is changing all the time. It's hard to stay on top of what's coming out on different conditions and different research. So it can be interesting to come in here and, maybe I'm looking for something on Alzheimer's. When I click on that, it's going to take me into a pre-made search here. So you can see it does all that hard work for me. It enters my search term. It does some parameters for me, and then I can kind of just jump right into those results. It's a really easy way to use the collection without having to do a search on your own. Close out of that one. We also have jobs and careers. If you have people, coming into the library and creating a resume, this may help them search for jobs or get some ideas and tips on creating a resume. We have sports. Of course, we have a lot of sports fans coming in here and getting information about that. We have education, business. A lot of libraries will do business groups. So this can be a good way to promote these collections to your business groups or people who are interested in that. And yeah, there's a lot to explore here. We always joke and say that we have an article on just about everything. So it's interesting to go through here and find everything that you can research. The last thing that I'm going to show before I kind of wrap up my section is this map search here. It can be an interesting way to search the collection, especially if you have the full Access World News collection. So I'm going to click on that. And this is going to take me, once it loads here, this is going to take me to a map where I can narrow down my sources and figure out what sources I have from different countries, how many sources I have. So you can see starting off with just the continental search, it's going to tell me how many sources I have from each continent. So you can see all the different ones there, over 1,000 from Asia, 1,500 in Europe, and so on. So maybe I did want to look at my Asian content. So I can select it here, or I can click on it over here. And now that's going to narrow down to just Asia. So now I can look at it even further. I can look at the different countries, figure out all my different sources, lots of sources from India, but we can scroll down and do that. And so if I just wanted to find content from a specific area of the world or a specific country, this can be a good way to do that and figure out what content I have from different areas. So that is the map search. And I think that that will about wrap it up on my end. So Catherine, are there any other questions that came in while we were talking about the quick links or the suggested topics?
Yes, thank you. And thank you for the questions. Yes, a question on Spanish language content. Their patron group has a lot of ESL patrons, perhaps how to target refugees or immigrants with Spanish language content.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of libraries can relate to. A great way to do that, like we just showed, is that map search. So if they are looking for content from a certain country or different area of the world, you can go in there and look for those certain sources. Another way to look for Spanish content is through the language filter in our search. So here I've just done an empty search, and I can scroll down here to the language. Now you can see I have 35 million results in Spanish, but I can do that with any search that I do. So just like if we do a search with penguins like we did before, I can scroll down here and narrow it down to Spanish content, and then I'm able to see, that Spanish language content. So here's all my Spanish articles. And now if I wanted to, I could go down to location and filter it further. So that's kind of how I would find the Spanish content.
Excellent, thank you. And we have a question about, I love this question. How, you mentioned a few, particularly with, I think, children's programs were mentioned, but more uses on how to incorporate NewsBank into library programs.
Yeah, one of the easiest ways to do that is with our suggested topics. So I know we looked at health. A lot of libraries will do, different programs for caregivers and things like that, and business. One of the ones that I also like to mention is with book clubs. So we do have a books and authors topic. So you could open up the books and authors topic and look at different authors. If there was a different, a book that you were featuring, and get some information on it to share with your group. Catherine, can you still see my screen, or do we switch back?
We can still see your screen.
Okay, so I could go into this books and authors topic. So I know a big one right now is with Reese's book club, Reese Witherspoon's book club. So I could go in here and look for book clubs. Let's see, that's
one of my
probably up the top.
faves. Reese and
yeah.
Jenna, always looking out to see what the new books are there.
So I could, let's see, let's do a search up here. Look for Reese's book club. And I can go in here and find, let's see. Yeah, I could go in here and find articles on some of her latest picks. So maybe I want to feature one of the books that she has picked for her book club for upcoming months. I could come in here and look for that. I could see some of her past picks that, maybe I want to feature coming up. So here's some image edition ones I could look at. So yeah, tons of different uses for programs. We have all different kinds of articles and all different kinds of topics. So those suggested topics are a good way to do that. Yeah, especially with book clubs.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for those questions. In the interest of time, we are going to continue to the next section, but that's a really good segue because we are going to share with you now our top 5 strategies to help build awareness and engage your patrons with your NewsBank resources. And, I got to say, as a marketing professional, I always like to learn from others, and so I thought I'd share with you some strategies that we've seen other libraries use, create some ready-to-use materials that you can use right now and just start today. But I like to really call it learn from librarians. So our number one is get it in the news. Submit a press release to your community news outlet about the library's resource. Talk to them about it. It could perhaps be a featured resource of the month. An article is a great way to remind your community about the wide variety of credible, vetted, aggregated sources that are packed with information in Access World News. And here on your screen, you can see several articles. They were either written by library staff or a staff member, or written by local reporters. So you can see here in the Kewanee Voice, great write-up about access to the paper, the voice of record, they're calling it. And again, in Marble Falls, they did a write-up about all of the digital offerings at their local library. And so it was just a list of the digital assets that they have, and the local paper ran that article. And an article from Burlington County Library, which is my favorite, is News You Can Trust. And so that's, right now, a really timely reminder for people about the value of multiple perspectives and the wide variety of perspectives that can be found in your NewsBank resources. So that's a great way to connect with and remind your community about this resource. And oftentimes, people who are reading the newspaper are also library patrons. So it's a great way to connect there. Also, I'm a big fan of reusing content. You can use virtually the same information for a press release and turn it into something for perhaps your library's newsletter, posted on social media. Again, there's an example here of how someone took an article from the paper about the library and then posted it on their social media channel. So another great idea there. And if you download this presentation, there are links to these full articles. You can read them, use them as a guide, or create something for your library. Number 2, creating a more robust online presence. Perhaps you do a featured resource of the month or a did you know section on your website. This is a great place to add Access World News or America's News. And we have graphics and brief product descriptions that you can use and pop right in there. Again, you can see some examples from several of our customers and how they incorporated NewsBank resources into their library pages. And perhaps it's beyond just the digital section or just the news section. You know, perhaps there's more creative ways and look for areas to include references or links to your NewsBank resources, because of course we know that the more ways people can access it, the more likely they are to use it. Number 3 is video views. Video is still the #1 way to engage, and we have a robust collection of brief videos. Most of them are less than 2 minutes, ranging from how-to tutorials, we have some product overviews, and much more. These videos are available for you to download. We encourage you to download our videos, pull the links off our website, and add them to your website near the resource, or if you have a YouTube channel, you could include them again in newsletters on your social media. You can see here how Laurel County Library and Washington State Library incorporated videos into their web pages. Also, if you use Niche Academy, Niche Academy is the video training platform many libraries use. We also use Niche Academy, so you can find many of our videos there. So just look for NewsBank in the marketplace and you click add them to your academy and they will be accessible to your patrons. So if there's something specific, take a look at what we have here. But if you are looking for a specific topic or how to use or having some trouble getting it onto your website or your social media, let us know. Megan or one of our members of our team will be happy to help you. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. Number 4, say it on social. We mentioned it, but I'm not sure if you know that NewsBank offers ready-to-use social media posts and graphics. Every month, we create unique content, share it with our customers that you can use to build into your social media outreach plans. So we have all sorts of topics from infotainment, edutainment, posts to draw people into the types of articles that they can discover in NewsBank. Perhaps it's recipes, interesting, days of the month, origins of lesser known holidays. So here's a few examples. Again, you can see Helen Hoffman Plantation Library. They created a write-up or used a write-up of ours, encouraging patrons to use the sports suggested topic. Sports is very popular, we hear. Also, Hood County, I love this one. They used a post and a graphic we had that leads to an article about collaboration in the workplace. And in the center is at High Point, and they used our post and our graphic to remind patrons about Access World News. And I really liked how they did in the write-up about how Access can be used at home via their website with their library card, or they can come into the library. So of course, social media remains a very popular opportunity to get people into the database, and from there, we know that they'll continue to explore and look at other articles and topics of interest. And there is a link to, if you'd like to receive those ready-to-use social media posts, there is a link in this presentation. Again, I encourage you to download it so it's easy to find. You don't have to hunt and peck around for it. And Number 5, hosting a hands-on training similar to what we did here today. Offer a training to patrons. It can be online. You could do it in the library, a hybrid. Feel free to even, use portions of today's presentation. You will be receiving a recording and a follow-up email. So take a look. Feel free to pull from it. You can see this is a great, actually, combination of a few engagement strategies that the Rockford Public Library used. They created an event to teach people how to use their NewsBank resources. Then they put together a press release and sent it to their local paper, who the Rockford Register then published it along with other activities going on in Rockford that weekend. So you can see 17 things to do this weekend around the area, and one of them was going to the library for a training on their NewsBank resources. And we hear it was a huge success. So it can be just that easy. So those are my top 5 engagement strategies. Again, you can find these and many more in this presentation, but I also would like to show you quickly our marketing and resource center. So all of the things that I've shown you here today, those ideas, and then there's much more in our Marketing Resource Center. During the summer, we have summer reading activities, we have bookmarks you can print, we have the link to the social media posts, and much more. So it's all in one place right there. And I really encourage you, perhaps you aren't the communications person or in charge of outreach, share this presentation and this information with your colleagues. If they're like me, they'll love some new fresh ideas, particularly some of the ready to use ones. So hopefully that will save you some time during this very busy time of year. So today's presentation is just one step in our commitment to working with you. We value you as a customer. We want to continue the conversation and the training sessions. So again, just one last plug here. If you download this presentation, there's these easy links. You can get right in touch with the customer success team, Megan and her colleagues. You can get right to the Public Library Marketing Center, our link to all of our videos, and the monthly social media posts. So I encourage you right now while we're here, download that so it's in your hands. But if you can't get it today, send us an email and we will be happy to send it over to you. We hope you found today's training session valuable and that you have some actionable ways to reach out to your customers and really help them get engaged in Access World News and America's News. We're grateful for your questions. We're grateful for your time. If we weren't able to get to yours today, we do commit to getting back to you in the very near future. As you log out today, you'll see a brief survey. Please take a moment to let us know what you thought about today's session and how we can improve in the future. On behalf of the NewsBank team, Megan and I thank you for sharing part of your day with us. Thanks so much. Goodbye.